This is the 5th year that MLB The Show has dropped finest cards in Diamond Dynasty, and this is always that last hoorah for content in MLB The Show. Today, we're going to go through the memories of the previous MLB The Shows and some of the fun finest cards that we had back in the day, and then talk about what finest will likely be looking like once we get them tomorrow in MLB The Show 22, because this is likely going to be the best set that we have ever gotten. Let's go take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Back in MLB The Show 17, we had our first set of finest. There were not that many that we actually got. Like, as you see in this little graphic here, there are about 8 of them. Obviously, attributes worked a little bit different. They were scaled from 0 to 99 overall. But we had some fun ones like Pat Neshek. And Pat Neshek was always fun with that quirky release that he had. Steven Strasburg, he got a finest card as well. I really do like the card art. It's got like this gritty looking style, but it is crazy to think about how much better the card art is nowadays. Joey Votto got a 99 in comparison to the lower overall players that year. And for this level of card from 0 to 99 attributes, this is stacked. Then MLB The Show 18 came around. And as you see, we got a little bit more finest content, but still, these cards clearly are not super incredible. We have 92 overall cards. But first, we had Javier Baez getting a 96 overall, which is pretty well-rounded. They gave him some good defense and such, which was pretty neat. But then again, remember, this was with 125 scaled attributes, and this wasn't that incredible, I don't think. Christian Yelich got a card, and this was really the first year that Yelich had a really, really good season. This card was actually really electric, attribute-wise. We got a Josh Hader card. This is when people started to realize that Josh Hader would be a fun reliever in Diamond Dynasty. Fastball, slider, changeup. 125 on the hits and Ks per night, but holy, those other attributes are really not good. But as you see with a lot of these cards, they are good relievers. Like this Edwin Diaz is a nice card. But if you've played Diamond Dynasty over the last couple years, you recognize they are not the same scale of card that we have nowadays. I remember they brought back this Francisco Lindor card and they scaled him up to a 99 overall, I think a couple years ago. And he still wasn't that great. See, it's crazy to think about. This is what finest cards used to look like. Not every team would get a card. They would just give it to standout players that year. Maybe players who didn't have other flashback cards and such. Like there were 12 finest cards in MLB 18, and this was one of the best ones, Jose Ramirez. People saw this nowadays, everyone would laugh. MLB 19 was actually a game changer for finest. They ended up releasing 30 finest cards, 1 per each team, and they ended up being fan votes. So the fans decided between 3 players who they wanted to get the finest cards. So you look at all these cards, there were some fun ones in the bunch. We had the Goat Glaber, who was one of my favorite cards. He was actually my endgame second baseman this year. We had some interesting ones, like Bryce Harper getting a 97 overall. Funny enough, like Bryce Harper easily deserves a 99. Fernando Tatis Jr. in his rookie year. Ketel Marte, this card was really fun. This was really interesting because we had so many more finest cards. And I think this was the first year where they recognized that finest content was going to be really good content. So we got some super sick cards like this Cody Bellinger. And this is when they really started to nail finest cards. Then in MLB The Show 20, we got a lot more finest cards. First, we had the 30 cards, 1 per each team. Then we had packs. Then we had returning cards from previous years. And this was really fun for finest cards because you had a wide variance of cards. And a lot of players got 99s that never had 99s before. Like this Manny Machado, for example, was actually really well-rounded. They had 99 Acuna, who honestly was a little bit low on the contact. But man, the defense, the speed, the power was so sick. Real ones remember this Mookie Betts. Even though 92 and 81 splits versus left aren't that great, this card was nuts. Yankee legend DJ LeMahieu. This actually was a very fun, underrated card. You could argue that this was one of the best cards in Diamond Dynasty history. Juan Soto, with this level of hitting attributes and live series quirks. Oh my goodness, man. I miss this card so much. 99 Devin Williams. This card was fun. Too bad this card didn't exist when pinpoint pitching existed. And then the man who probably got robbed the most out of a finest card. This was his MVP year, and he only got 86 and 81 contact and power versus lefties. But yeah, these finest cards started to be a lot better. We got 30 cards for each team, plus the extra cards. So there's a lot of good options to use. Like, there is at least one player to use out of each of your favorite teams. And then we, of course, had the MLB 21 Finest. These cards were easily some of the best cards in the game, but definitely the best Finest cards we ever had. They got this Finest Vlad in the vents. Like, oh my goodness, dude, this card was sick. They gave us this Trey Turner, like absolute madmen. But yeah, there were basically all 99s for every team. You had some extra guys that you could use. Some guys were available in Finest Choice Packs. Some players were available on their own in the Team Affinity setup. We had Aaron Loop get a really good reliever card. But as you see, last year, we had a bunch of very solid 2021 Finest cards. A lot of really good returning cards like Manny Machado, for example. And just in general, they did a really good job of making good 99s for a lot of players. Because if you saw the MLB 20 cards, there were a bunch of very good cards. A bunch of cards were solid for 99s, but not all of them were good 99s that were really warranted to use this point in the game. The beauty of last year's Finest is that you could use virtually any of these Finest on your team and you would be in a good spot. Like look at all the cards that I used and really liked. A lot of cards that have some sort of parallel XP on. Like, you had a lot of very good options, which I really think they nailed. And then, of course, in MLB The Show 22, we have a banger start with 99 Trout being the first Finest, and obviously this card is incredible. We talked about him a good bit the other day. You should watch that video if you haven't. If this is going to be any sort of sign of what Finest are going to look like, this is an incredible start with Mike Trout. And then, of course, we start to get more Finest cards like Nolan Arenado. I think this card is going to be really well-rounded with defense, well-rounded hitting, probably like a Manny Machado card would be. Sandy Alcantara is probably gonna be very nasty with that outlier sinker. Yohan Duran is a 99 overall, is gonna be nutty with the outlier splitter, dude. And then Adley Rutschman is gonna be a top switch hitting catcher, probably like a very similar, if not better, Posada. And then, of course, Julio Rodriguez, who is probably going to be one of the best center field options in the game. So yeah, we're going to have a bunch of Finest coming in MLB 22, and it's a really exciting time because this is really that last big content drop that we're likely to see in MLB 22. It's going to be the last developer stream we get from SDS, which means this is probably going to be the last big thing that we see this year. But in general, this is always like the last celebration of the game. We get a lot of very fun cards to use, and at this point in the year, it's really just about having fun and going for the most fun teams because we have so many options. All 30 of these cards will definitely be good, usable cards for your team. And I'll be making sure to cover them all on the channel soon. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this trip down memory lane of our previous Finest content. I do plan on covering my tier list video that we're going to be doing, so make sure you are subscribed down here for that. And also make sure you check out the other videos that we covered, like the Mike Trout video. You all have a great rest of your day. I love your faces, and we'll be back here again tomorrow. Deuces.